week, and I'm sorry for the spelling, I only noticed it just before the class, Pendulum. And yeah, we all get it wrong sometimes. Okay, but that aside, I think this is a good video recording of the next stage of taking the pendulum. I'm not going to say much more because I say it in the video. So I'm just going to play the video, and hopefully this is something you can either work through it as I'm speaking it, which might save you a bit of time, or you can come back to it. You can just watch it, absorb it, understand it, and then come back to it when you've got access to the recording. All right. Either way, it's up to you. Okay, so by now you should have your even spaced animated pendulum done. And just to remind you what we're talking about the pendulum swinging from one side to the other like this, and it comes down in the middle. Notice, by the way, that everything moves on arcs. There's a curve. It's not a straight across, it curves down. But anyway, from the pivotal point, this was our drawing, our key number 1, and this was our key number 9, and it goes both ways as a loop sequence, okay? And our chart, at least going one way, it was equal for both ways, but it was an evenly spaced chart like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so every one of these distances were equal all the way through. So we have a mechanical swinging pendulum going backwards and forwards. However, that's not the way it works. That's a good way for you to learn how to do animation and keys and in-betweens. But now we're going to start looking at not just the mechanical way of doing things, but the real way of doing things. What makes great animation is when we do the plus things to everything. And the plus things is what we need to do to this pendulum. So the second assignment in our first class is going to be to do a proper swinging pendulum, okay? And that means we have to think it again, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All right, so instead of, think of as a pendulum swings, think of the effect of gravity on it. Okay, we're thinking about gravity. So when something's coming down like this, gravity is pulling on it and it's accelerating. Okay, it's accelerating. But when it starts going up again and it gets to this point, it's going to start decelerating because gravity is pulling down on it. So in other words, what we want to do is to create a movement that starts slow, gets faster and faster and faster and faster, and then starts getting slower and slower and slower and slower. Okay? Now, it can be done very mechanically in animation. We just have to rethink how we do this chart. So what we're going to do is rethink the way we do this animation. So what I want you to do is think in a different way now. So instead of these numbers, I'm going to erase these numbers. Actually, one should remain the same, but I'm going to do it anyway. So let's think of 3 keys now. We're going to have key 1, and this one's going to be key 9, and this one is going to be key 17. All right? So now we're going to deal with something different. A thing I want you to know about animation is that the more in-betweens there are between 2 key positions, the slower it goes. And conversely, the less in-betweens you have between 2 keys, the faster it's going to go. So what we want to do is create a new chart system which allows us to do that acceleration and then deceleration. So we're going to do from 1 to 9, we're going to have acceleration going. Because now, remember, we've done a new key and we've made this middle position a key in its own right. And because we're going to go 1 through 17 to do the complete swing, that means 1 through 17 is a much slower action than when we did our original chart 1 through 9, one side to the other. Because remember how fast and staccato it was moving, and it was evenly doing that. Well, that was the bad thing about that. So what we're going to do is get around that now. So what I want us to think about is from 1 here, we're going to be swinging through to 9, and we're going to be accelerating there. And then once we get to 9, we're going to go 9 through to 17, and we're going to be decelerating. So we're going to have 2 charts. So this is how we'll work our chart. What I want us to do is to think, remember I said the more in-betweens there are, the slower something's going. So if we want it to be slow at the beginning, we want more in-betweens at the beginning of this area and less at the end. So one way of doing it is simply by squashing up. Remember we had our odd numbers at the top, 3, 5, 7. So we're going to do it this way. So we're going to say 3, 5, 7, and we're going to make 7 the breakdown position, and then we're going to put our even numbers in between those. So we're going to go 2, 4, 6 and 8. So you can see what's happening. We've got all our in-betweens up one end, and then they're gradually opening up wider and wider until we get to our 9 position in the middle here. And then we're going to do the reverse when we go from 9 up to 17. All right, so in other words, we're going to do 11 is our breakdown position, 13, 15 to 17, and then we're going to do our half even numbers, which is 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're still mechanically doing halfway positions, but we're doing them in an entirely different way. All right, so we've put this here. Let's I'm going to save this, by the way. I forgot to save as, so I'm going to go call it demo 4, because the last one was for me, for my saving system is 4. So I'm just saving it to where I saved the other ones. And now what I'm going to do is modify layers. I'm going to add an empty layer. Okay, so this layer here is our, let's rename it. Let's call it our guide. So we don't really want to see this, to be honest, but would help if I could spell, wouldn't it? Yeah, guide. Okay, so we've got that layer. Now we don't want to see that layer, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remind ourselves we're going from 1 to 9 this way, and this is called, by the way, I meant to say this. When we're accelerating like that, it's called slowing out. So this is slowing out. Okay, when it's decelerating like this, it's called slowing in. So these are terms that I'll be using in the course that you're going to need to get used to hearing. All right, because slowing in and slowing out is really important in animation. I'm going to save that so I don't lose it. It's really important in animation, and you'll get to learn that nothing in animation moves at an even speed unless it's a very boring machine. Okay, but anything that's human, anything that's cartoon, anything that has a sense of gravity, acceleration, deceleration, they're going to need slowing in and slowing out. They're also going to need arcs, by the way. Nothing goes in a straight line except a machine, a very boring machine. So something like this is called an arc. So we should say that as well, because I'll be talking about arcs as we go through the course. All right, so you've learned 3 new animation terms: arcs, slowing in, slowing out. Okay, and you've already learned evens. Evens means evenly spaced in betweens. All right, save that again. Now I'm going to close this down. I'm going to go down to, let's switch it right off, disappeared, and we're going to go to layer 2. Now let's start again. So we're going to draw our pendulum, Actually, I don't want it in grey. I'm going to undo. I'm going to go back and choose a black pencil, and I'm going to draw it again. There's our nice black pencil. There's our face. Really badly drawn, I know, and let's give it a more blue color this time. So I'm going to use the fill and just fill it in. All right, and now I'm going to number this, go back to the black pencil. Remember, this is number 9 now. This is the vertical key position, number 9. So now what we're going to do is add a drawing and duplicate after. And again, let's remember that we want to renumber this drawing after, but it's not going to be after, it's going to be before, but I'll show you that in a minute. We're going to do number 1 first. So I'm going to use the selection tool or the lasso tool. I'm going to move that rotation point to the top, and then I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to swing it somewhere like that. All right. And then what I'm going to do, because now what we've got 9 ahead of 1, so I'm going to select 1, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to use the backward button. See up here in the top of the timeline, click on it, and then that's going to push it forward in the timeline. Now we have 1, 9, and the last thing we want to do is create our final key, which is 17. So I'm going to add drawing, duplicate layer. It's done it up here. See it? New layer, new frame in the timeline. I'm going to erase 9 because I don't want 9. I'm going to call it 17. And now I'm going to put the onion skin on because I want to see how far it swung on 1. I'm going to select it all again, lasso tool, move the pivot point, and then visually rotate it so I get a sense of that's more or less what the other one was. Okay, so click off. So now we have, let's turn the onion skin off, go back to 1, 1, 9, 17. Okay, so there's our movement. There are our 3 keys. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start doing our in-betweens. Now let me put the chart again just to remind you. I'm going to go to a lighter color because I don't want it to be too dominant. So there's our key, and remember we're going to do a slowing out. So put our odd numbers in first, put our even numbers in afterwards. So now we know 3, 5, 7. Now 7, remember, is the breakdown position, so it goes in parenthesis, and 9 is our final key, so we put that in a circle, and then we'll do 2, 4, 6, 8. So we want to do our first in-between position, our breakdown position, so it's going to be number 7. So here we go. I'm going to put onion skin on again. I'm going to select frame 1, which it is selected. I'm going to add duplicate after, and now we have a duplicate. I have to do 2 things. I have to erase the chart. We're still seeing it because of the onion skinning, but I've erased it on frame 7. So I've got to number this 7 now. Oh, I have to go back to black pencil because I want it to show up. And I have to remember that it's a breakdown drawing. So I'm going to erase the top and bottom. So if I turn the onion off, you can see that it's 7. All right. And now all we've got to do is select it, lasso it, move the rotation point to up here, and then move it to a halfway position, maybe just a little bit. Oh, hit the wrong button. And it's about there. So now we have 1, 7, 9, 1, 7, 9. Okay. All right, and now we're just going to keep doing that so that we do our other one. So we've got 1 and 7 on our chart here, so we're going to do 5 now. So I'm going to go select 1, add drawing, duplicate. Here's our new key, so let's erase. This is going to be 5. Erase the chart. Make this 5. Lasso tool, Now, if this seems laborious to you, just think of it. In the old days, you would have had to hand draw every one of these positions, not duplicate and just rotate. So in a way, this is much easier for you guys at this stage. Now, there's going to be a point where by the way, I'm just going halfway, a bit more, maybe back one. Okay, that will do for me. So now we have 1, 5. Yeah, so in the old days you would have had to hand draw all these, and there will be assignments where you're going to have to do that anyway. But in order to learn the software and to get the principles we're talking about, slowing in, slowing out, arcs, you can see the arc, by the way, here showing up. This is a quick way of doing it, and I just want you to learn quickly at this stage, at least our first class. All right, so we've got 1 and 5 now, so we've got to do 3. 3 is halfway between 1 and 5, so we're going to make sure 1 is selected, duplicate layer, erase the number, erase the chart, because we don't want that on all the time. Go back to make sure it's a black pencil, and I'm going to number it number 3. And again, lasso. Move the rotation point to up here. And rotate it halfway. So you can see, oh, I'm going to do a bit more there. So you can see now how what the difference is. So we've got number 1 here. Let me select 1. We've got number 1, number 3, number 5, number 7, number 9. So you can see that these ones are closer together, and then gradually they open up. All right, that means where they're close together, they're going to be working slower or moving slower, and where they open up, that means they're going to be moving faster. All right, so that gives us our sequence, at least on odd numbers. So now we have to put the even numbers in, but let me just it's no point playing it. Actually, I was going to play it, but there's no point because it's going to move so fast you won't get a sense of what's going on. So let's just go ahead and do our next in between, which is now we've got 1 and 3, so we're going to do 2. We're going to put the even numbers in. So I'm going to go add drawing, duplicate layer, erase the number, call it number 2, and as ever, lasso it. If only we had this function when I was young and learning animation myself. Just think of having to hand draw every one of these yourself. A bit of a pain in the butt, but this is much better. So now I'm just going to use the arrow buttons. That's kind of, see, it won't go in the middle. See, it won't be perfect in the middle. It's kind of towards the middle, but it's one-sided. And now if I use the rotation button and take it on, it goes a little bit the other way. So I'm going to err on the side, I'm going to err on the side of just that side of the center. Ideally, if we were hand drawing, it would be right down the middle. But as we're slowing out, it doesn't matter if it's just slightly nearer number 1. So that's what we've got. So we got our number 2 drawing, 2, 3. Now we're going to do between 3 and 5 is 4. So we're going to select 3, duplicate layer, erase this because it's going to be number 4. Luckily we don't have the chart on it anymore because we're moving on. So it's number 4. I'm going to slide the rotation point, and I'm going to find the middle point for number 4. So there we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're getting up to 5 now. Let me take the onion skin off and double check that, because I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I made a mistake there. 3. Oh yes, so I put 4 Let me just check. 4. Yeah, I took 4 too far. So let me, you see, this is how you can make a mistake, guys, because I put 4. Let me show you again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. So 4 should be midway between there, not where it is. So I'm going to go to 4, and I'm going to get that selection tool again, move the rotation point again, and this is why it's always good to double check what you're doing as you do it. So I'm going to rotate it back. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So that is 5. So we want it just about, I have to use the arrows to get a bit more accurate. It's not going right in the middle, which is annoying, but get it as close as you can. So let me just double check that I got it right now. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we're good now. So see how even I make mistakes when we're doing that? But now we've got a nice little smooth action going up to 5. And here's 5. If I put the onion skin on again, hang on. Did I move the wrong one? Sorry, guys. 2. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So, yep. And there's 7 and there's 9. So I was right. It's just duh. Sometimes that happens. And so I'm going to add a drawing, select 5, duplicate after. So I'm going to erase this because we're going to do number 6 now. Put number 6 down. Notice I get into the habit of writing the numbers on before we do anything, because if you do make a mistake and you have to go back, it's good to have the numbers there to check with. So I'm going to select again, and you can see this is where we are with 5 and this is where we are with 7, so we've got to go halfway. So I'm going to move that rotation point up to there. Whoops. Up to there, and I'm going to rotate it kind of, that's more or less halfway. I know it'll jump beyond halfway if I leave it. So now we've got, let's go back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're still good. And now we've got from 7 to 9, which is going to be 8. So I'm going to again add drawing after. We've duplicated it after. It's going to be number 8. And we're going to select it, move the rotation point. So I know this is probably boring to watch, and probably you're working along with me as you do it, which is good. And then I'm just taking it to about halfway. A bit more. Yeah, there. So now, if I take the onion skin off, go back to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. Let's do it again. 1, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, I'm miscounting. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got it. Now if we play it, it's going to do a little jump to 17, but don't worry about it, because if we play it back to, okay, I'm going to play it back to 9. Now we'll see a little bit of what we're doing. Okay, it's very fast, but you get a sense, if you're smart into it, you can see that it is actually going a little bit slower at the beginning and faster at the end. All right, so let's stop that. And now we're going to go from, let me pick a nice light gray. We're going to go from 9 11 13 15 17. Okay, so 11 is our breakdown, 13 15, and then we're going to do the even numbers in between. So we've got 10 12 14 16. Okay, so I'm going to save that because we've done some work and I didn't want to lose it. So now what we're looking at is going between 9 and 17, and 11 is going to be our first in between. So if I put onion skin on, I'm going to take off those previous ones because now we just want to see the forward ones. So with onion skin now we're only concentrating on the second half, the second two keys. So we're going to do number 11. So I'm going to, here we go again, duplicate layer. I'm going to erase, hit the erase tool, and we're going to parenthesis this, and we're going to take this chart off, and we're going to go 11, and move the rotation point to there, and we're going to rotate it. Why am I not seeing? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to go halfway. There's 11. Happy with that. So we've got 9 11 17. So now we've got to 11. You can see on this onion skinning, 11 is here, 17 is here, halfway is going to be 13. So now we're going to add another frame afterwards. We're going to call that one 13. We're going to lasso it. We're going to move that rotation point again to there, and we're going to rotate halfway again. 13. Happy with that one. And now we're going to do it once more because we want, there's 13, there's 17, we want 15 in the middle. So we're going to go to add drawing, duplicate after, erase 13, put down 15, lasso, move rotation point, go halfway, a bit more. Yep, happy with that one. So there we have our 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. See how they're getting closer again at the end there? That's because it's decelerating. It's fast here and it's going to slow in and up there. So now we're going to put our even numbers in. 9, 11, we're going to put 10 in. So we're going to select 9, duplicate after. We are going to call that 10. Get rid of the chart as well. Call it 10. And select, move the rotation point, and rotate halfway. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, rotate halfway. So now we've got 9, 9, 10, 11. Now we're going to go between 11 and 13, which is 12. So duplicate again. And erase. It's number 12. Yeah, I can only repeat, luckily we're not hand drawing all this. As you would if you did the previous Module 1 class, you would have had to hand animate this, which will take a lot longer. So in a way, count your blessings, although this is probably quite tedious for you to follow through. But trust me, it's so much easier. So now we've got 12. Let's double check it. 11, 12, 13. Now 13 to 15 is this one here. So we're going to duplicate again, and we're going to number that 14. Lasso, move rotation point, and we are going to edge it forward like that. Perfect. So now we've got 13, 14, 15, and now we just got to do 16 to catch up to 17, which is our final key. So again, select 15, duplicate after, erase it, it's 16 now, lasso tool, move rotation point, and just rotate. Let me just, yeah, see, it won't go exactly in the middle on these very fine ones. It's either one side or the other, but as we're slowing into 17, I'm going to make it just slightly go towards 17. All right, so now in theory, now remember also we on our playback we changed it to 9, so now we want it to go up to 17 because we want to see the whole thing. And I'm going to take onion skin off, I'm going to hit play. All right, now remember we've only done it swinging one way, and it's got to swing back the other way, so you're going to have to do all those in-betweens going back from 17 to, well, let me explain to you what we're going to do. So I don't think I need to demonstrate this to you because I don't want to spend too much time, but once you've got the one swing, you know how to swing it back the other way. You just have to reverse everything. But I will show you the charts you're going to use. So you're going to go back from 17, and this time you're going to be slowing out. So this is going to be 19, 21, 23, and 25. Now remember, 25 is going to be the vertical position in the middle. Remember, you've got the swinging like this, swinging like this. So this is 17, this is 25, and that's going to be back to 1. All right, so the first part of that is from 17 down to here. 17 to 25 is this chart, and you're going to put the in-betweens or the even numbers in there. So it's 18, 20, 22, 24, and then when you get to here, you're now going to go from 25 to 1, so you have another chart which is going to be the slowing in, 25, 27, 29, 31. So it's 27, breakdown, 29, 31, and then back to 1 again to complete the cycle. And again, you're going to put the even numbers in. So it's 26, 28, 30, 32. So we've basically got a 32 frame cycle in animation. All right, does that make sense? So we've done our 1 through 17. Now I'm going to leave you to do 17 back to 1 again using these charts. All right, I'm going to save that. And one final thing I want to show you, this is a final little trick which is really cool. So at the moment, if we play this, as I say, it's going pretty fast. Now if you want a really slow pendulum, at the moment we've got one drawing, let me stop it, scrub it along here, one drawing for every frame. Now what if you want to do one what if you want it to go slower, but you don't want to do the extra drawings? Okay, so there's a way is doubling up. So this is at the moment it's animation on ones, meaning one drawing per frame of film. But what a lot of animation is these days is animation on twos, which means that each drawing is on for 2 frames of film. And sometimes in anime and bad animation, and I'm not comparing the two, but sometimes anime in terms of movement is not very good. In terms of design, concept, everything else, it's fantastic. But in terms of pure animation, they use 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. They have, you know, so it's very jerky animation. However, let's get back to this. So we're on 1s at the moment, but if we want to go and put all this on 2s, if you hit this button, edit multiple, you get this little box come up here. Drag it all the way through all your drawings. All right, so what it's doing is saying, they all show up on the screen. What it's saying is whatever we're going to do to one of these, we're doing to all of them. And then see this little indicator above? I'm going to click on it up. And now suddenly they're all 2 frames. All right. So now let's play that back and see the difference. See how much slower it is now because we've got the animation on 2s. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to do all the forward swing as I've done it, 1 through 17. Then do the swing back, 17 back to 1, using these charts I've shown you here. And I'll post a copy of this into the classroom for you to see. And then I just want you to save that, convert it into 2s, the way I showed you, and then render it out as to just 1 swing on video. All right, just export it to QuickTime Video and do the complete swing, 1 all the way through 32 back to 1 again. Actually, all the way through to 32 and yeah, back to 1 again. And then just render it as a video and post that in the classroom. All right, and that's the end of your assignment for this week. But I hope this helps. I hope this will prove to you that by using slow ins and slow outs, you get a much more natural effect because you're working with gravity. You're working with weight and gravity. The pendulum's got weight, so it's always going to be inclined to come down, but then it's going to swing past its low position and swing up. Now we're making it a perpetual swing. In the real world, it would swing once, and every time it swung backwards and forwards, it would get less and less, and eventually it would settle in the middle. But I wouldn't want to inflict that on you as an exercise, but certainly swinging one way and back as a perpetual machine, perpetual motion, will work very well as an exercise, and that's what I want to see. All right, so over to you guys, and hope this is all clear. Okay, so it was a long explanation, and maybe it gave you enough to get started, but is anyone stuck or anyone confused by any of that? No? I gather your silence means no, and I assume that we can I can leave you to work on it. I'm not going to leave you, but I don't need to show you anything else. But if anyone's got any problems or any questions about any of that, let me know. I did want to show you, however, the differences in speeds. You know, I showed you about you can double up the frames and everything. Well, here we go. Okay, so that's more or less what you should end up with as we did it. Now, if I double up the frames, that's how much slower it moves on 2s, 2 frames per drawing. And here's 3s just for the heck of it. I don't like 3s because it's juddery. Your brain doesn't feel the flow of it, but I'll show you those again. So 1s is pretty nice and smooth. 2s you can kind of get away with. It's a little bit juddery, but you do, for the same number of frames, you get away with half speed. And then 3, you really kind of see it. but it just gives you a sense of speed, how speed works, just using the same drawings, but going at different speeds. All right. So the final thing I wanted to show you, and then I'll leave you totally alone to keep working. I'm not going away, but I'll just not bother you with anything else. I wanted to show you how to duplicate action. So for instance, in last week's exercise, you just did the swing one direction and back. And the theory is it links to the beginning of the next action and back and so on. I just wanted to show you how to do that. So here's a short video I made just to indicate how you can duplicate it before you render it. Instead of just doing one action and back to the beginning and then leaving it on your video, you can actually do 2, 3 or more if you want to repeats of it on the same video. So this will show you how to do that. Okay, so I know I just said in the previous tutorial or demo that you are to do a swing from one side to the other and just save that as a video. Well, it's more satisfying if you see it repeating more than once. So I'm just going to show you a very quick way of doing that. And hopefully that will help. So what we do is we go to the timeline, go to Edit Multiple, drag the selection tool right away across your animation like that. And that will bring up a screen like this. And then you basically duplicate after, go to Add Drawing, Duplicate After, and you'll see that it's now added another one. And if we do it again, it's added another one. So now if I scroll back to my original frame one, like that, and we play it, you'll see that it's swinging significantly longer, although the program will repeat it. But if I go to, let me stop this. If I then go to File, Export QuickTime Video, and I call it Duplicate Animation, Demo 5 Duplicate Animation. I'm just leaving it the way I have it. And if I send it to, let's say, my desktop, hit Save, it's rendering. And now I'll show you what it looks like as a QuickTime video. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is the 3 repeats. I just repeated the repeats 3 times. So you can see it's very easy to duplicate your action. Once you've finished your action, it's very easy to duplicate it. I can go back and show you again. And yeah, just by using that, you select them all and then duplicate them after, and just keep doing it as long as you want to do that, and then render it out to a video. And you get this really nice, smooth repeat action. You don't have to do the one. You get a sense of the repeating going on, the looping. Okay,